This conference will now be recorded.
Yay. Yay. So, it's good to see everyone, and I suppose we should start with the usual introductions. And do you want to start, Kim?
Sure. Kim Stroh, Des Moines, Iowa, relapsing remitting, diagnosed in 2012.
Excellent.
Thanks.
And we'll go down to Hannah.
Well, I'm Hannah, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I have relapsing remitting. What was the next intro? I think that's it. Is that all I'd say?
Are you taking any sort of therapy?
Oh, yes, Ocrevus. Yeah.
Okay. And so now we'll shoot over to Frank.
Hey, Frank Austin, secondary progressive, diagnosed in 1997. I'm not on any medication whatsoever, and I'm doing fine.
Pam, you look good.
You look good.
Well, I had a appointment with the the lung doctor this week, and he said he would expect my COVID symptoms to improve again for 2 or 3 more months. And I've got my oxygen level back up to almost below average, not low, but almost up to below average. I have been able to get it up to 97, 98% on occasion, and they expect it to improve for the next 2 or 3 months.
Well, that's good. We're happy to hear that.
So am I.
That's really good.
Yeah, I'm sure. So now, Tree.
Hi, I'm Tree. I'm in San Antonio, Texas with Hannah. I am on Aubagio and I was diagnosed in October.
Okay. And now, Tim, it's your turn.
Hi, Tim, Fredericksburg, Virginia. I think it's considered isolating incident is where I'm at. Diagnosed as of 19 March of this year, so I'm new to the group. Meet with my docs on 14 May to discuss the treatment plan.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm going
Okay,
next.
yes, please.
Yes,
And I forgot. I live with him, so I know his story.
Yeah, but I'm Dan Digman, and I was diagnosed in February of 2000, and I have relapsing remitting, and I completed my second half dose with Ocrevus last Friday. So a week ago last Friday. So I'm cooking with gas, my friends. And now.
And I'm Dan's wife, Jennifer, and I was like Frank, diagnosed with MS in 1997. And I also have secondary progressive MS, and I am taking Rituxan, which is an infusion that's kind of similar to Ocrevus. Yeah.
All right. Does everyone love the red hue? It's like I had a light burn out in my office here, and I'm too lazy to get up and change it, so it's darker. So I have my desk lamp, and if I didn't have it turned, we'd be like this big whiteout of Dan and Jennifer. So I was, let's turn the light the other way. Well, it's like now it's like a red hue. So if that's like creepy, we can turn it off. But that's our red hue. And speaking of Elizabeth, there's the star of the hour.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey.
We just finished doing quick introductions. Do you want to tell us all about you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm here in North Carolina, and I don't know if it's the allergies or MS or the combination of the two, but it feels like something's eaten on my brain inside, so I just like taking it easy for a little while. That's why I'm like
Okay.
Absolutely.
You look pretty comfortable.
Yes.
How are you guys doing?
Doing
well.
well.
I've had MS for 17 years. I forgot. Yeah, I think you all know that. Everybody here, you know that.
we're all pretty familiar with each other, so. And you're currently taking Ocrevus as well, correct?
Yeah, no taking Ocrevus. Things are going good, but I'm gonna be doing an MRI when I go back to California in July, and I'm, kind of anxiously looking forward and not looking forward to it, but I think it'll be good. Because I talked to my MS specialist through a Zoom doc appointment, teledoc appointment, and she thinks that it could be just my brainstem lesion that is acting up, and allergies, and there's different things that can interact with it here. So just gonna do the tests and see how everything goes.
Yeah. Well, I hope that it feels better, and
Thank you. It comes and it goes, just like a lot of MS symptoms. Like, you can feel like, why was I even concerned like that? It's not a problem. I must have been crazy, and then it hits you.
So
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So you said something about how you're going to have an MRI.
Yeah, in July. I'm gonna go back to California in July because the insurance won't pay for one out here.
Okay.
Wow.
But you're not staying in California, are you? Or are you staying?
Yeah, I'm gonna be staying there. That's where my home is, but we're
Oh.
trying to figure out what we're gonna do with the kids this next year.
Okay.
Kind of leaning towards finding an online school, so that's what I'm looking into right now.
Okay. And then, Karen, hi. We were just doing introductions. Do you want to just say hi to everyone?
Yeah, I just always takes me 10 minutes to get into this site. It's like it doesn't behave like anything else I do. And I'm like, where am I? I put this t-shirt on because I got it at a disability fair, and now I see that we're kind of color coordinated tonight without colors, like gray. But it's
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I like
I
that
was,
a lot.
yeah, I didn't know if
Cool.
it was at the Center for Independent Living.
That's cool. It's a good slogan.
Very nice.
Yeah, how did that work? I mean, because we always like seem to cycle through and wear the same color. I don't know why, but just
I know, and I was wearing something like pink, and then I went, but this is so dull. Why am I putting on dull? I put it on specifically for that. But then I went, oh, because we can all be color coordinated with the artist here, Hannah especially.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because my shirt is actually kind of on the grayer side, but I think
Right.
it is gray. Yeah, we are all color coordinated.
Nice.
I'm sorry I missed the beginning shares.
We just all did the introductions, and there's one person joining us tonight by phone.
007.
And then there's a John.
So I'm in Oakland. I didn't do that part.
Yeah. Sorry, Karen. We just kind of were going through quick, and Kim, you have really good luck with getting people the color number 1. Or John. John, you're on mute right now if you want to say hello to the group.
Hello. Sorry, I might have joined the wrong group. I thought this was I just might have joined the wrong group. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
What,
This is
John,
an MS group.
John,
Yes,
what group are you looking for?
No, hello, Rick. I'm the prostate group. I apologize.
Oh, which
I
John?
was late. JG.
Oh, JG. Hi, JG. Yeah, the
Hello.
meeting starts at 3 p.m. at 6 p.m. Eastern on a Tuesday.
Yes,
And
my
8
mistake.
p.m.
I apologize.
Don't worry. You
Okay.
can stick around. This is a very friendly and a very nice group of MS people, I got to tell you.
I don't want to take away from their time.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
But we all understand being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe it is the right place at the right time. Wait, what did you say? Wait, what time is it?
Thank you.
So Tim, I had a question then. So you're going in, you said in May to your neurologist?
Yeah, I'm going at VCU down in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
We're going to do a telehealth,
Nice.
and it's an interesting story because my neurologist here in Fredericksburg is not an MS specialist, and he shut me down there. And after I had done my initial thing on the 19th of March, I looked up the docs and all that stuff, and they have a department of neurology and then different sections, and they sent me to the muscle something or other division instead of the MS folks.
Okay.
So I'm going to be talking, I guess, with the muscle neurology folks, and I'm going to ask them, hey, why am I here instead of with the MS?
Yeah.
That I'm diagnosed with. I mean, I
What
have
is
an
it?
MSc in theater. Now I'm not an MD. So
Well, maybe it's neuromuscular. I mean, I don't know if that's a specialty, but it's kind of sounds like you're saying that. You
yeah,
think?
neuromuscular. Yeah.
Well, I think that makes sense because, I wanted to know what's wrong with me. Why am I falling? What's going on? And I chose the primary care. I had to find a new primary, and she was an osteopath. And I said, oh, I should go with somebody who understands about musculoskeletal things. So.
Yeah, it's above my pay grade, so I'm just going where they tell me to go when they tell me to go, and I'm a good airman because I'm a prior Air Force, so I go where I'm told to go.
And do you have a lot of questions for the doctor?
Yeah, I've got questions lined up as far as the treatment plan, concerns that I have with it, and medications. Mainly dealing with cognitive versus the rest of my body. Yeah.
I recommend that you see a neuropsychologist, Tim, so they can get a baseline on your cognition.
I think that's probably going to be our next step on that. But yeah, definitely neuropsychology is on my radar for sure. But thanks for confirming that. It's much appreciated.
It's not, apparently it's not routine because that didn't happen to me. And then as I started to lose more cognition, I don't even know how I got that referral to him. And fortunately, I got somebody who's really good. We didn't start out. I'm not an airman. So no, I start out like he starts asking me questions. I'm like, well, who are you? Why are you asking me these questions? And what makes you think I'm just going to share this stuff with you? And then he's like, oh, okay, tell me what the plan is. So, he did like a baseline assessment. And then because it was COVID, he's like, and it was like at the beginning, well, it was July, but he said, I can't have you come in, so I have to come up with these other tests. And then the day of the testing, after I talked to him like 2 or 3 hours, like over maybe 2 or 3 sessions, he said, I just want to let you know that you're agreeing to sign this paper, which means I can release information to the DMV. And if I find any cognitive loss, I will be required to tell them. And he said, for some people, maybe they don't care because they're not going to drive anymore. But I'm pretty sure from having talked to you that I'm going to come up with that. So you have to think about, do you want to do the test? And it was like, okay, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just something to think about, because it would be like walking the plank, well, you go do this, now you go do that. Now you can't drive.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like what you're saying, Karen, I mean, that's why it's so important why we all try and stay informed and listen, to groups like this where we can hear perspectives and things like that. And it's just so important, Tim, when you meet with your doctor that you be like your best advocate, just say, what you need and take care of yourself like Karen's talking about. And, you can see with your group if you have questions, any of us would totally, because this will be your first meeting with the neurologist.
I've met with I've been working with neurologists, gosh, for about the past 4 years. I stopped the last one because he loves lumbar punctures, and he sees nothing wrong with multiple lumbar punctures multiple times a year. And he said the pain that I felt with the last lumbar puncture was just in my head, and I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah, sure.
I was like, yeah, well, guess what? You're fired, and that's in your head now.
Yeah.
See that's good, Tim. It's just like, because like they're working for you, dude. It's like you don't like them, you find somebody else, and so that's good for you.
Yeah, I have no problem firing doctors. Not a problem.
I'm so
You know,
happy to hear that.
you talk about that, and I'm thinking sometime we need to do like virtual movie night with this group, and our first movie on tap will be This Is Spinal Tap. So
My speakers do go to 11, actually. I'm a broadcaster too, so I turn it up to 11. So
that's why not just make 10 louder?
Glad I don't know that movie. So Kim, when you said that you should, try to do neuropsychology, it would have been better for me had they done it when they first diagnosed me, because I don't have a way to measure, like at least if I had been tested then, I'd have this baseline. And one of the things the neuropsychologist I talked to, so fortunately it was him, because I've been to OT for my hand, and she starts telling me to pretend to drive and do all this and did cognitive exam, and it's like I was so upset. Like, I'm here for my one time during COVID to learn about how to write with my left hand, and you're giving me that freaking dementia test that Trump had. I didn't come here for that. I didn't come here, And then the neuropsychologist said, well, it isn't her purview. I said, yeah, but I already have a neuropsychologist. And I have another psychologist and a social worker. So what the hell are you getting into that for? You're not the only stop on the train here. And, so you have to, I learned, like, boy, I have to be really careful. But I wish I had had that test in the beginning, because they don't routinely do it. So I'm wondering from everyone, do you think it's something that they routinely do in the beginning when you get diagnosed?
No, I had to seek it out myself. I had to set it all up myself. They did not do it on their own.
Yeah, I did not have one either.
And
It's
I
only
think,
been 4 years for me.
it's good in the beginning to do it. Then you have a baseline, and then.
And Karen, I've got the MS. So I'm sorry, I forgot. When did you say you were diagnosed?
2019, January.
Oh, recently.
Yeah, and I was well, I had one idiot neurologist. I said, I have cognitive impairment. He goes, well, you seem fine to me. And it's like, oh, well, I guess you're an expert on my cognition.
I'm going to be the naysayer on this. I don't think they should until you bring it up or the patient brings it up, because there are too many scary things that are going on when you're first diagnosed. And the last thing you need to hear is cognitive problems. I think when a person needs to wait for that a little bit. That's just my opinion.
Well, and that's a good point, Frank. Just that, I mean, because there is the thing to have a baseline, but then at the same time, you're dealing with a lot, and it's just like, I suppose that's where now this is the point of the meeting where Dan gets on his soapbox. But it's like I think it's so easy for us with MS to blame and I write about this often. So if I'm a broken record, but it's like it's easy to let MS be the scapegoat for us, where it's just like we blame the disease for everything, where it's just like to where we could be missing other things that are treatable that could be fixed. Like when my hands were numb, I'm like, at least get tested for carpal tunnel. Maybe that could be fixed, And so it's just like, with the cognition, sometimes I'm just having a forgetful day. And I think that's where, that's a downside with MS and cognition is just that people forget things whether they have MS or not. And so it's just like, just to make sure that we're not putting too much bank in multiple sclerosis as being the culprit of me just being forgetful. If that
Or
makes sense.
being Dan, or being.
Exactly.
Well, I wasn't saying that,
Oh,
just because
No.
I did lose it. I agree with you, Frank. I was posing it more as a question: is that routine? Because by the time I talked to this guy, it was obvious. But if I had a baseline, even without the testing, just his kind of assessment. But I agree with you, Frank. I was so overwhelmed. And if they sent me to that, I probably would have had a cow. So it is. It was more, I'm just warning you, like, Tim, and I agree with Kim, but then I'm like, but just be careful because you could lose your driver's license when you don't want to, and he was kind enough to make that point with me.
I never had to sign anything about driver's license and reporting, and I've done it like 3 times.
Oh,
Well, it was
Different
just
places.
he was aware that I would probably test, like there's a test, but you have an assessment. So he was aware that I no doubt would have, I forgot what he called it, like MCI or something, moderate cognitive impairment. And he just said that, once that gets on your driver's license, you have to work to get it back. And it's really hard to do that. So it was just something, everything I do, I just found out I could pay less money for my health insurance because they have a lower plan. So
right.
before I do that, I want to make sure what are the caveats that I'm not aware of.
Yeah. Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
the last time I renewed my driver's license in California, I was using a cane at the time, and I walked in with a cane, and this young lady, very young lady, said, "What's the cane for?" And it doesn't bother me to tell people I've got MS. I mean, I'm fine. I've got multiple sclerosis. I've got MS. Well, your driver's license is not going to be renewed then. You have to take a driving test. And it took them 4 months to get me scheduled to come in and get a driver's test. Now they had renewed my driver's license temporarily until I took the driving test, but it was 4 months before I could get in and have a driving test. Stupid.
Wow.
That's something
oh, go ahead.
no, it's sorry, Elizabeth, something I had never even thought about. But do you have an experience like that?
Yeah, when I didn't get my license until I was 26. And I got it in North Carolina, and the same thing. I walked in with my cane, and the guy was asking about my cane, and I just started saying, "Oh, well, I have MS, and it's not so bad. I just need the cane sometimes." And he was like, "Okay, well, we're gonna have your neurologist sign off. You have to do get a neurological evaluation once a year and have your neuro sign off, an eye doctor appointment once a year, and then every 3 years go to an occupational therapist to get evaluated." I don't drive anymore because I elected not to when I started having my kids, and then in California the traffic is just crazy and I couldn't handle it. Like I would drive and not be able to do anything else in a day because I drove.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy the amount of hoops that have you jump through, and you just think, oh, they're just concerned about me. They're just asking about why I need a cane.
Well, I guess the question then is for you, Frank, and you, Elizabeth. I mean, do we have things on our like driver's license stuff to say that we have MS, or was it just merely because you both had showing a visible something?
Because you had a cane, you've got something. Yeah. Well, no, there was nothing after I passed the driving test. It was just like normal, but it was because it was a neurological problem. They wanted you to go have a driving test again.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing special.
I think at age 70, they do that too. So I'll be 70 in May. I was supposed to renew my license last year, and then I had an appointment to get real ID. Like, I think I tried to do it, and then I had to get the real ID appointment. And they opened up the DMV. I'm going to make up a date, like the 12th. Or on the 12th, and my appointment was the 14th. So I was like, okay, I'll go to my appointment to get my driver's license. And then I didn't realize I wouldn't even need a test because I wasn't going to only be 69. And then they hadn't opened that office yet. And so I was able to renew online, but now I'm glad, all these little things you have to think about. So I was able to renew it online, and it's good for 5 years. And I'm like, I'm not getting real ID. I have a passport. I'll just read it because my license is good for 5 years. I don't have to do that retest because I'm 70, will be 70. So I'm like, okay, I'll just renew my passport like I'm going somewhere. But,
Yeah.
And then the thing about the psychological testing, like I agree, Kim, that, it's a good idea. But this psychologist, he was very, very good. And he said, Karen, if we find it, but I can tell you that whatever recommendations I might make for you to get with like speech therapy or based on that, it's probably not going to help you anyway. So, why don't you just wait? Like just in my case, just wait.
Well,
So,
It makes me happy that he was so honest with you about everything and not actually going forward with so many other tests too. Because I remember in the beginning, like they would always just tell me you need to do this, you do that, and you do that,
and
and
you
which
did
is
it.
true. I did it, yeah. And for many things, I am glad that I did it. But in hindsight, looking back now, I wish I would have like thought about it a little bit more before, you know, doing some things. And I can't really think of any specific examples at the moment. But at least your neuropsychologist was courteous in that regard.
And it was because I started out
Yeah.
going, wait a second, dude, who are you? What makes you think you did, and then, but he was just seemed like he was very sweet, he was just taken off because they're not used to it. My social worker said they're not used to patients advocating for themselves. I mean, anywhere in the departments, and it always blows me away because I went to see the life care planner to say, to make a post, whether your wishes. And she was a nurse, and I used to be a nurse. So you sometimes, with nurses, we're like, and I think cops do it too. I'm a cop. You're a cop. I'm not going to give you a ticket. But you just have this kind of simpatico. And she said, Karen, I hear these stories all the time, and you're advocating. And I said, if I'm a poster child for someone who successfully advocated, that's really sad because I didn't get, there was so much I didn't get. So, I'm just learning that that it's a good, 5 minutes after the diagnosis, literally 5 minutes. And that was after I was already told I don't have MS, but you do, but you don't. You got thyroid cancer, but you don't have therapy. Like just 5 minutes after the diagnosis, I'm handed these two pieces of paper. I hate to give you this, but you should decide if you want Rituxan or Ocrevus. And I'll have a pharmacist call you like the next day, like you're saying, Frank, you're out of your mind with this. What? I have what? Wait, what am I looking at? And anything you read online, what? And then the next day the pharmacist called. I said, I can't, I didn't sleep all night. I can't talk to you. And it was until I looked into these so-called never heard of a disease modifying therapy. What does that mean? Is it a drug? Is it a pharmacy? What the heck is that? It's just a euphemism, you know, for being an RN. I mean, I had to study pharmacology, never heard that term. And nobody asked the question, do you even want to consider these things? I wasn't asked, you know, in a pharmacist college, because, you know, you didn't do your blood work. We're supposed to get this thing going. And as I looked into it, I said, you know, I heard that there's like a 25% chance that it might slow down the disease because of my age, and we wouldn't know, just 25%. And then that doctor said, well, then the doctor who ordered it, she said, well, it's like less than 20%. And I remember to mention that to the psychologist who, you know, he's a statistician too, right? And he goes, well, that's less than 20% chance that it might. He said, well, then there's like no chance, you know, like it's not even, you know, it's just if someone says, I want to feel like I did something. So that was great of him too, you know, to be so affirming of, and then the
And
second
so
thing,
honest.
yeah.
So honest, and that's one of those things, like we were talking to Tim, to be your own best advocate. And Tree, I know that you're doing therapy, and it's just, you want to feel like you're doing something, you're making a difference in the disease. And I think that's, you know, just to know, like, I'm being honest here. I can have those moments where I'm so down in the dumps and I hate multiple sclerosis so much, but then I'll take my baclofen or I'll take a Rituxan infusion and I'm like, I am doing something to fight this disease. Or I get on my like bike. And so I need those moments of empowerment where, yeah, so that's just me.
Well, and speaking of that, then Tree, you're like what now, a month in with the Aubagio?
How's that treating
Yeah,
you?
I think a month and a half. I'm having a lot more energy. I've been able to take my dog for walks every morning.
Yay.
Wow.
I bet your dog appreciates that.
Yeah, it's been really great, and she's been worn out more than I am.
Oh, that's good. So how do you move forward? Is Aubagio every day?
Yeah, it's a once a day pill.
Okay.
I'm actually taking 2 pills. One of them's a placebo because one looks like the Aubagio and one looks like the improved Aubagio. And
Right.
one of them's the actual medication, one's the placebo.
Wow.
And it's based on whether you're on the giving because you don't know what dose you're taking. Is that correct, Tree?
No, so I don't know if I'm on the Aubagio or the new version of Aubagio.
Okay.
But I'm happy either way because it's working, or at least I feel like it's making me feel better. I don't know if it's helping my brain. I hope it is. I'll find out in a couple months when I do another MRI.
Yeah. Which I wanted to ask that question. How often do you all get MRIs?
It's
every 6 months with this program.
Every 6 months with this program that you're on?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah. And when I was in the clinical trial, it was every 6 months, and my MS specialist usually likes me to just do every 6 months.
What about you, Hannah?
What about with contrast before you answer? Because I was curious. Because do you get it with contrast each time or not?
Contrast each time, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Once
why,
again.
though, because my MRI never shows active inflammation. My first MRI had very mild active inflammation. But
And then do you have of the spinal cord too? I mean, that's
yeah,
what I have to do.
cool. And
For me, it's
I've
just the brain.
get one of my thoracic because it's been a long time and I want to know what's going on down there. Do your neurologist or MS specialist order thoracic spines for you? Because mine specialist is like, yeah, I don't really have to. If you really want it, I can order one for you. But
I don't.
For me, because it's primary progressive and I don't have lesions on the brain, or maybe I do. I mean, that was another thing. You know, you can take Ocrevus or Rituxan and might slow down the disease, but we would have no way of knowing because you don't have lesions on the brain. So then It's like for me, had I taken it and I deteriorated the way I'm deteriorating, and then COVID happened and I would have been locked up in my house with never seeing anybody, it would have been like emotionally, mentally, completely intolerable. You know, that I took this infusion that's not helping me. I feel worse, you know, because it just would have been for me not the right choice. But you know, that I don't know, I don't quite understand that, but I think I get it once a year, maybe. I don't know the last time. And I just didn't want to be in the box for an hour and a half with the contrast, so we didn't do it with contrast.
Yeah. What about you, Frank? When's the last time you had an MRI?
Oh, about 3 months ago. I do it every 2 years.
Okay.
How was it with COVID? You know, in addition to it, you got a mask on?
COVID's got nothing to do with EMS, so.
No, with the MRI, like, do you have to wear a mask? I think I
They
heard.
they
you have to
let me
wear-
take it off when they were having
Yeah,
put me into the machine. Right before they put me in the machine, then I
Oh,
could take
okay.
the mask.
I asked if I had to wear it, and he kind of like shamed me, like, yeah, because they're hard to clean, and you should just wear it. So I was like, okay, I got a mask on, I got a cage on my face. Thanks.
Okay, so now we're talking, and I think Elizabeth, you had brought something up earlier, and
Oh yeah, about the thoracic. Do you guys like how do your specialists recommend thoracic MRIs? When's the last time you guys got one?
I guess that where I go ahead, Kim.
Oh, my MS neurologist here in Des Moines doesn't really do thoracic, just the brain. But when I went back to Mayo Clinic after a pause, since I'd never seen that neurologist before and it had been a while, he's like, I want it all. So he did it all, and then he put me in for my brain. I went into the 7 Tesla MRI, which is when you have the normal, which is like 3.5, and you have a 7, night and day. The images, it's like a video camera in your brain. It is like stunning. But
That
it's
sounds
like they
so
only can
cool.
do brain and knees. They might have changed that, FDA approved right now. But it's like it is an MRI, but it's also slightly different because you have to wear like goggles before, so they get like your baseline, and then when you get, because you can get really dizzy in there, and you go in there like everything just kind of tilted, and then I had to get used to it, and they continue to put me in because the magnet will make you really dizzy because it's so strong. So
Oh, the magnets make you dizzy, but you're not really, or they.
yeah, because of the magnet, it just took my perception and just kind of
What did you
tilted it,
call
I
it?
think.
What did you call the numbers? You said the Tesla.
Okay, so the Tesla is the magnetic strength, and it was 7. And most MRI machines are like 3.5.
Didn't
This
pull
is a
your
7.
fillings out.
No. But they only can do it in certain parts of the. This was in 2019, so they were only FDA approved to do that for knees and head, brain. Were the only 2 places they could do that with. But it was interesting because when you look at the MRIs and you're not used to seeing what they usually look like, and they're kind of like grainy and stuff, and these are like look like a slide of my brain. It was just like it was like so clear. It was pretty because he was like the neurologist like, well, I think that blah 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 blah. I just want to be sure and da, 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 da. I'm like, all right. So that was my 40th birthday epic thing was getting a 7 Tesla MRI on my 40th.
Isn't it strange how when you're
birthday.
living with a
That was
chronic
mine.
illness like MS that the little highlights, the benchmarks, you're like, woo, I got a kick-ass MRI. Woo woo, 40th birthday. Celebrate.
Yeah, I don't remember my 40th birthday. 'Cause epic, you have to travel, you have to spend a lot of money, and you have to do something like completely out of the ordinary. So I had my medical tourism to Mayo Clinic, spent a lot of money in an MRI, and yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was good. I will always remember my 40th birthday.
That's awesome.
Some people go to Vegas.
I'm always the dork if
some
I
people go to Mayo Clinic.
when
I don't
I
even,
have a medical appointment on my birthday, I'm the dork that goes today 1979 when they ask, "What's your birthday?" Today 1979. Every time, such a dork.
Nice.
Make them think.
So you asked questions about cervical, thoracic, spine, everything. I'll ask the question and show of hands. How many of you know A, how many lesions are on your brain, B, where they're located?
Roundabout. Well, kind of roundabout.
And
I know
okay,
where
so
it's on in my thoracic, but not my brain.
this is good to
Yeah,
see. I'm like thinking, I see stuff on Facebook and people posting things, and I'm like, am I a total deadbeat patient? It's like A, I don't know where they're located. B, I don't care how many I have. I'm just like,
You were going to give out a prize.
I
How
just
many? Who knows? How many do you have? And the prize, right answer.
I know. You ask if we know. Well, I know. I don't care. You know, I
yeah.
know.
I know the general location, like brain, cervical, thoracic. I know I have them there. But as far as how many, I don't know that. And I honestly don't think that that would be useful information for me. So I just kind of pushed it out of the back of my head because it's not useful for me personally. But
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I just feel like I'd
I've
read
had
or thought I'd read somewhere that the location of the lesions corresponds with some of the symptoms that you have. And so I found that really fascinating, and so that's why I held on to all of that because the I had really bad MS hug symptoms, and so it makes sense because I have those thoracic spine lesions there too. So it's not something that I think is personally helping me anymore, but it's just interesting to know. So.
I agree.
I've had
do you
the
guys?
opposite.
Oh, you're opposite.
I've had the opposite frustration where I have changes, get an MRI, no changes on my MRI. Like I don't light up like a Christmas tree like some of you all do. I don't. I'm like the one that has like no showing. Actually, I got diagnosed with MS because I showed a lesion in the thoracic where the previous neurologist didn't do it. So that's why I'm like, oh, you don't have MS. So I always have the other frustration where I'm like, oh, I think the last time I had an active lesion was when I had the optic neuritis. Then I had it on my optic nerve. But I mean, that's good. That's good frustration because it's showing no activity. But it's just like I have all these changes I'm going through, and it doesn't show anything. No, you no. You look good. You look good.
I don't
You're
like
the
to read
Frustration.
stuff. I'm just grab my folder from when I went for a second opinion, to see what did they say about that, because I haven't wanted to read it. But Tim, I want to give you a suggestion. I wouldn't have been able to remember to give you this suggestion, but I opened this folder that I got for the second opinion specialist, and I have 12, new concerns and updates, and I handed it to her, and then their first neurologist, who's still and then I wrote questions. I went new concerns and updates, questions, and when I had to follow up with because she left, I would have stayed with her, but she left. So I followed up with the first one, and we didn't hit it off. We hit it off, and then we didn't. And so I was really anxious with a follow up for her. And I was telling my primary, oh my God, I don't even want to ask her any questions. I don't even know if my questions are appropriate. And my primary said, well, what are your questions? And she's, when we were done, after I'm venting, and I'm upset, I don't know. And she said, Karen, I just wrote down your questions. What if I sent them over to the doctor ahead of time? I said, that is such a great idea. But, I see that, you're going to be nervous. You're going to be nervous driving to the facility and finding parking and hoping you could find the department. And then you got there on time. And did you have the right insurance? Like all that other crap that, but they're just like, I'm like, wow, how smart. And I had these questions, and then I could just hand them to her, and she can do her organic interview. You have a standard thing, and then you can look and you say, okay, oh, all right, number 9. Well, let me just that one. I think it's so much better because communication is so awkward for everyone. We're not we're a very multicultural community, and even if you're both white or you're both Latino or you're both whatever, you still might not jive. But if you have the question, and they're doctors, they're used to reading. It's not like, so it eliminates any, because you can have a specialist that's really good up here, but they're not really good with the.
Yeah.
And nothing is worse than when you go to your doctor's appointment and you're like, yeah, we're all good, doc. And you walk out the door and you're like, crap, I forgot to ask about bladder problems, or, oh, why is my foot dragging? And then you have to, I had a visit with my urologist today, a virtual visit. And as soon as she hung up the phone, I had like 5 questions, and I'm like, why didn't I ask her? And I think, Karen, it would be really good, really smart when I meet with her again in like 8 weeks to have a list of questions.
And then why don't you look at the questions? Because I just had the handyman here. He's coming back tomorrow. He just came to talk to me. And as he left, and I was on my front door, and I said, oh, I forgot the plastic on my doorbell is broken. I should have mentioned that to him. I mean, just, it's not a big deal, but it is, because then you're left with, well, now what? I hope I'll remember tomorrow. But, then you got to remember to look at your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing is worse. Like today, the doctor was 2 hours. It was a phone call visit, but her nurse called and said the doctor will be with you after she's got 4 patients in front of you. And God's honest, it took her over like an hour and 40 minutes before I saw her. And I could putz around my house and do things, but I'm like,
You're waiting.
thank God, I wasn't in the doctor's office. I would have been steaming mad, but I feel like in that way she was taking advantage of telehealth. But she's a good urologist, so cut her some slack.
I don't think I could have been this smart to write this today, because that was April 17, 2019. And it was like even minutia, just little things, I think I said, I have like excessive swallowing and salivation. And I was looking at anxiety and depression related to an alarming physical deterioration, like I'm not sleeping and then what's going to happen to me? That it's just that, I just wanted her to know that too, because they might not ask you that, and I was like, no, I don't have pain, I don't have spasm, I don't have fatigue, except related to sleep. Do I have fatigue because I can't sleep because I'm not getting the care I need? I'm like, but I mean, I think nothing that crosses your mind is stupid and minute and not worthy of pointing it out.
Absolutely.
And then if it's written down, if they're like, well, what did you mean by that? I don't really think she did that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I had that.
Your note taking reminds me of my note taking when I was first diagnosed too. And I felt like I'm so happy I wrote down all those minute little things too, because you may not think that it's important to remember the little things that you noticed that were wrong at the time, but it might like click to one of the doctors that you're talking to. And I just wanted to mention too that I was given some great advice when I was first diagnosed, and one of them is the note taking. And so I actually got like a notebook, like a small little pocket-sized notebook that I just put in my purse. And anytime I felt something wrong, I would write the date and I would write what I felt wrong. And that, like, I would go back and forth in every single doctor's visit and look at my notes and one of my, I think it was my primary care doctor, he actually took the notepad and he wrote down every single thing that he thought was important from that notebook, date by date, which I thought was like tremendously amazing. That
They
somebody
like
was
that.
actually,
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't think to tell you that, but they like it.
they do. He loved it. He even like complimented me on that. He was like, "Yes, this is amazing," and so it made me feel really good. Like made me feel like a good patient of doing something right. And but
Honey,
somebody also
you could be doing drawings too. I could see you going, okay, this is what.
yep. um, but I think somebody also gave me the advice to buy a calendar and write down like a timeline of events too, because that definitely helps. At least that's what I was told. It helps with the diagnosis of MS too. Because if you have relapsing remitting MS, it helps to know when these things happen, of course, and whether or not it's a slow progression of symptoms versus anything else. So just wanted to throw that out there because And I actually still have the calendar that I wrote down all my first timeline on, because I thought, like, I don't want to throw this away. Like, it's just kind of like a good reminder of a time that like changed me completely. It just, turned my life around upside down, of course, but it's not something I ever want to, let go of. So I kept that little notebook and I kept the calendar. So just trying to throw that out there to you, Tim, since you mentioned that you have the, I think it's a clinically isolated incident, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah, and that's yeah, I guess the first stage thing. That's what they're calling it right now.
Mm.
And actually, my wife has done the planner thing. She's got the little diary, so she checks in with me twice a day when we, when I, well, when she gets up, because I'm usually up well ahead of her, and then before we go to bed. And then, through, probably about lunchtime, she'll check in and say, hey, if this is happening in the morning, has it resolved itself or has it gotten worse? And then she'll follow up at dinner time. But then I have an app on my phone that is a pain scale app that I found out from my old job when I was working with soldiers that were transitioning out of the Army. And we would have them use that to, kind of gauge their pain. And I've been using that app for anything out of the normal that's been happening. Numbness and tingling, fatigue, uh, cloudy brain fog, stuff like that. So that way I'm an app guy. I like apps. But that way I can bring that in. I actually brought the notes from the neurologist down in Richmond to my Fredericksburg neurologist, because I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but different healthcare systems don't talk to each other. And
Oh, yeah.
go figure. And when I talk to the folks down in Richmond, I'm like, great, can you send this to my neurologist over here in Fredericksburg? Well, no, we can't, because that's a violation of HIPAA. And I'm like, it's about me. I'm giving you permission. I'll write whatever, here, have some blood. I don't care. Just do that. And they're like, well, no, we're not going to do that. So I figured out how to hack into the app, grab those notes, and then give it to my neurologist. And
That's so helpful.
yeah.
Wow.
It's like that, that you have so much stupidity you have to deal with, like on that end, that you can, well, like I'm on financial medical assistance and I keep getting bills. And I was like, I shouldn't be getting bills. And then sometimes I just go, oh, screw it. And then I told my social worker, she hooked me up with a member service rep, and that person called me. And then she said, actually, we have a cheaper plan. And since you don't have to pay copays, you might want to do that. And she went over it with me. So we have to call the enrollment specialist. So I called her. My social worker says, it's okay to vent to me. I have like 3 pages of so I called the enrollment department, but I only got the support staff. And she said that I needed to, I can't even remember though. It's like, you need to do this. Well, I'll hook you up with this guy, Greg. But, then I get a call from somebody with like marbles in his mouth from, like normally I'm tolerant of accents and, but I'm like, I've had it with this stuff. This guy's like, hello, I'm happy to help you. And I said, I was told that Greg was going to call me. Who are you? We couldn't say his name. And I said, I'm not having it. I'm sorry. I'm not having it. And then the original person calls me back. She goes, well, I called Greg and he was in a meeting till 2. And I said, well, Marble Mouth called me at 2. I don't mind waiting. And then she's like, well, actually, you have to go back to member services. But I already talked to member services. Well, you have to talk to a Northern California member services Kaiser Medicare Advantage representative, and then it went like around and around and around. I spent like 5 hours on it. I was so aggravated. I couldn't deal with it for a week. And then I called and I got some other guy and I said, look, I'm not going to do this by myself. I'm not going to hit my head against this computer wall, enrolling. And then he said, I can help you with that. And so I vented some more and then we walked through it. We're now on page 6 of the form, because then I already talked to other people and they go, well, then you have the enrollment form. It's 7 pages. but you have 12. If I have 7, why do you have 12? Or why do you have 7? Why do I have 12? Like, it's just like, it makes me crazy. And if I enroll in this, do I have to disenroll in that? Because I know how these things work. There's always like something you didn't think about. So this guy walks me through it. Now we're on like page 5. And then you have to say why you're dropping your insurance or why, what's going on. And there's 20 things. Well, are you doing it because of this? Are you doing it because of that? Are you doing it because of this? Are you doing it because of that? And he said, oh, well, actually, you don't qualify, you're not doing it for any of these reasons. So just skip the question. Well, I mean, can you imagine doing something like by yourself? Like,
Yeah,
how can I problem solve this cockamamie stuff? Just
one of those issues we need help with some of the paperwork, and it's often really helpful to have somebody just walk you through. I know when I'm frustrated, my caregiver, if it's Dan or my caregiver Jen, just to have them fill in those little boxes that I can't manage, that totally, because you don't need that stress. And I was reading something today where people with MS were just talking about like what an awful effect stress has on them. And I just never realized just what a big deal stress is for me. So
Well, it's
those
like,
little annoyances.
well, it's like at work or, just anything. It's just like, my hands are always numb, and then when you're typing, you don't feel the keyboard, but it's just like, and then if you're under deadline or something happens and you're just under more stress, well, then the stress and all of a sudden my hands are more numb and then you can't type as well. And then that makes you frustrated. You just fall more and more behind and your hands more and more numb. And then you're just like, then you hate the world and then you go for a walk and then you come back and you're tired because you went for a walk and you're just like, but it's the stress does a lot. And then it's like, then I have like numbness and tingling in my chest. And then it's just like, and the more stressed I get, the worse that gets. And then it's just time to stop.
Go have a beer.
Well, I was going to say have a beer, but I didn't want to go there yet.
Well, every day I check in with myself every day, all day long. I think what do I feel like right now? What makes the most sense? Okay. You don't have to take a shower. It doesn't matter. Oh, you wanted to do, but now you're tired. Maybe you shouldn't be driving. That I realize I'm in a much better place than a lot of people because of that. Because most people are they have a lot of goals.
Yes.
I wish I was like you on a daily basis, Karen, just checking in with myself. I am trying to get a lot better with that. Like when it comes to just, I don't know, just telling myself to sit back and take a deep breath or whatever it is. Just say, hey, why are you doing that? Maybe you should do this. Or just, hey, stop for a second and smell the flowers.
Well, you're young. You have you're young and you're young. And it's like I've had these 2 years of such progressive loss that, I really see the end of my time here. What is the quality of life and how, where does it go and how bad does it have to get? And
that I think that because, to those points, it's like, we get the weekend and there's all these things. Okay, we need to do this, need to do this. And you have this laundry list of things to get done. But then when you just stop and say, okay, what has to be done? I mean, you set these goals and ideas, but it's like, what absolutely has to be done? Well, then you realize there's only 2 things that actually have to be done. Well, then it's like you find ways and well, then focus, get those done. And, anything, because I always say, okay, but Jennifer, I got to go in, I got to work for a couple of hours on Sunday so get ahead for the week and this and that. And I'm just doing all these things. And then Sunday comes, you're just like, you know what? Yeah, I really don't have to work. And if I'll make up time later, it's just like, what? And it is, I think, like you say, Karen, it is really the quality of life and what's going to make me happy, and I think,
yeah, you get on that treadmill. Well, I was about 58, because I had symptoms for more than 20 years. And then when I was about 58, I just felt like I can't do this anymore. I can't work anymore. I can't handle things. And then I thought, if I found out I was going to die tomorrow, there's one thing I know I wouldn't have said. I sure wish I worked more. You know, that kind of like stood out for me. And unfortunately, I was able to find a little work after 2.5 years of my unemployment went out, and I was able to do some work. But I've kind of been on this path because I knew something was wrong with me. Something is not right. And
So now I'll get philosophical for everybody, but it's like, because yes, MS sucks. Let's just call it what it is. But have you found that on some levels, has it helped you to prioritize or focus or rethink things and like what is and isn't important? And
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Definitely.
not this is an ode to multiple sclerosis, but at the same time, it forced us to stop and think, okay, well, this is,
Important.
yeah.
I see things now I didn't see before MS. And it's little stuff. Okay. I mean, we had some bushes out over a awning outside our living room or kitchen. And I happened to notice that somebody had built a nest up underneath there. And then I watched, and there was a dove that was nesting in it. She laid 2 eggs in it. And I watched those things from that time until they were born. I watched her, the mother, tear up the nest when they were a couple of days old. I watched her teach them how to fly. And I would have never done that before. No way. Such a waste of time. But, all of a sudden it was important. And I don't know what to say. Just it caught my eye and I was able to watch it. And I would have never watched that before. Never.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of ways that MS has inadvertently blessed my life, and some days I curse MS because I hate that it limits me and what I can do with my children. But at the same time, one of the biggest blessings that I have from this disease is the level of understanding and care that my kids are growing up with. They're looking at me and they're so sensitive to my needs and my fluctuations, and they use that and look at the world through that lens. Like, they understand in a way that I never understood when I was a kid. I never understood people dealing with chronic illness, and I feel like I had a deep neglect of that, and they growing up with the biggest understanding of it. And it's like I don't know if I shared this story, but my daughter's teacher, before the pandemic, was going in the fall of maybe 2019, she came and she told me that they had a student in the class who had a traumatic brain injury when he was younger, and he would play Legos while the other kids would work, and so he could have the socialization. And the teacher told me how good Dia was with him, that she would go and she would play Legos with him, but then she would watch, and she could tell if he needed time to himself. And I asked her about it, and she explained, yeah, I know when George, sometimes he likes to play by himself, and sometimes he likes to play with other people. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy, because this is something that maybe she wouldn't have done if I didn't have MS,
because you might have spent more time doting on her that you just
Right.
can't do that now. Yeah, because kids can be really sensitive like that. They understand, you're a team.
Elizabeth, you talking about you're having kids and your kids understanding chronic illness. I recently learned on Instagram there's a book coming out in September called Some Days that's about a woman with MS and who's teaching her kid about chronic illness.
Yeah, that's such an awesome book, and I actually got to Julie Stam as the author, and she offered to do a personal reading to my kids, and that was so wonderful. We did a Zoom, and she read my kids the book, and I love seeing that come out. That's one of my goals, is to write a book with my daughter for her age group, because that one's for a little bit younger. Her son is my son's age, so it's geared towards that age group. But that was amazing. She's an amazing lady, and she also tap danced. She posted a video of herself doing the time step, and I was like, yeah, I tap dance too.
Yeah, speaking of tap dance, do you want to talk about what's going on tomorrow night, Elizabeth?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I already pre-recorded the tap dance video, and it's about 2 minutes long, but I had a fun time doing it. I was just it's not choreographed or anything. It's just me messing around with my brother. He was playing the guitar for me, and I'm on this. And yeah, just it came along nicely. And then I'm reading my MRI horror story that I already shared with you.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, seriously, because I've been seeing like snippets of the tap dancing and stuff. But dude, if you're like reading the essay, you guys have to hear her read that. It's so awesome.
And that the link for that is, I believe, in the chat window, like early at the beginning before our meeting started. Rick had put a link to the Marsh program tomorrow night, and he did say that it will be recorded. So, but it may take a few days. But yeah, so that's good. That's exciting.
Thank you.
She'll be a star.
Yeah.
You know, it's so powerful to do that. This weekend I went to a women making music camp. It's part of a music community I'm part of. And then there was an open mic on Saturday. And so I have, my MS horror story. You know, like I've let people kind of sort of maybe know. And in my case, when anybody hears MS, they go, oh, I know what you're going through. My brother might, no, you don't know what I'm going through. So I wrote a performance piece. And I started it with a song that I think should be the MS song.
Oh, wow, great.
Yeah.
And I was crying. I was so busy writing I had written it. I had dictated it the other day because this song came into my head. And so I was singing this song. And then I just started talking and I thought, I think this is good. So I dictated it, and then I was like, okay, I want to do something for the open mic because I have something I wrote before about dealing with bureaucracy, and I'm like, no, I already did that. I want to do something new. And so I was so fixated on like a time limit because it's supposed to be 5 minutes, but I wound up probably doing 10. I just kept cutting things out and cutting things out. But I can tell you how it started because it's the song that I think is just really what we have to do. Because you were saying like, how do you take care of yourself? So, I was crying because I was so fixated on getting the timing. And then when I actually read it, I was like, I've been dealing with this for 20 years, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't expect to cry. But people were crying too, and I got really good feedback. But I saw, do you know Little Nas?
Good night, Tim, and we'll see you next month. Dan's looking at the date really quick.
Yeah, so for everybody, May 11th.
May 11th.
May 11th. And when's your doctor's appointment?
3 days afterwards on the 14th, but that's going to give me more questions to ask them. So thank you, everybody, for helping me out tonight. Definitely appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you
Sleep
later.
well, Tim.
Hi, Robert. Bye. Did you want to be for the MS group, Robert?
Yes, I was.
Okay,
Awesome.
hi.
Hello, how is everyone doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Good. We kind of already started introducing ourselves.
Well, we'll do the quick run through so you know who you're partying with tonight. I'm Dan Digman. I live in Michigan with my wife Jennifer. I've had MS for 21 years.
And I've had MS for 23, but I guess Robert, do you feel comfortable like introducing yourself and
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
take it this is a safe environment where everyone's free to talk.
Yes,
Yes,
but that's
Yes.
really quickly. We normally record our meetings. Are you comfortable with that? Because if not, we can stop recording.
No, that's fine. You can go ahead and record the meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. So please.
Talk to us, Robert. Where are you from?
So I was from Bensenville, Illinois, which is O'Hare International Airport.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's where I'm from originally. About a year and a half ago, suspected MS
Okay.
and a couple lesions in my brain. So I said, you know what? If that's the case, I'm going out to Utah and I'm going to experience life as much as I can while I still feel good.
Nice.
So came out to Utah. I've been on Utah for 6 months now, and I officially got a diagnosis of recurring MS. So I've got 2 lesions in my spine. I've got 8 to 10 in my brain. And I just started noticing some symptoms as far as gait changes, balance issues, and some vision changes. So they are going to be putting me on some meds starting tomorrow, actually.
What meds, if you don't mind me asking?
I will. Let's see here. Tecfidera.
All right.
Okay.
Nice.
Where?
So go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask whereabouts in Utah are you?
Oh, so I'm in Salt Lake City.
Okay, I went to BYU, and then my family. I got a lot of family in Utah, around Salt Lake City area.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm currently in Cottonwood Heights, which is just south of Salt Lake by the mountains.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of how articulate and how calm and how knowledgeable you are, because you're kind of late to the meeting. So Dan had asked, does anybody know how many lesions they have on their brain, and do they care? And everybody's like, and then what about, and you're just like, okay, here I am. I got the lesions. I got this. I got a plan. I'm getting my meds tomorrow. I'm all like on it. You know, we're talking about how you're just so overwhelmed when you're diagnosed. You're like, don't even know what to do.
Oh yeah, and I cried. I was grieving for myself for a couple days, and you know, then I thought about it. Like I first started having slurring speech about a year and a half ago, but chances are I've had this since 2007, and it just went undiagnosed because that was the first time I experienced any real changes. I was dropping bowling balls. I was dropping golf clubs. There was a time when I couldn't brush my teeth. I didn't have the coordination to brush my teeth. So I've had a bunch of signs in the past, and I have seen neurologists and I have seen specialists, and everything just it slipped through the cracks, you know.
You look so good.
So the good thing is,
you look good. Yeah.
thank you. So I ended up going vegetarian for 2 years when I had those symptoms back in 2007. And then I went symptom free for a long time, but I gained the weight. I was really stressed out at my job, at life, at family, and I think that really triggered some of the symptoms to start popping up and coming back. So I figured, you know what, time to be selfish, and I'm gonna do everything for me. I've been doing so much for other people for so many years. It's time to start doing stuff for myself.
That's smart.
Yeah, well, that's good. So, Tecfidera, I'm not really familiar with that drug. How is that?
It's oral, isn't it?
Is that an oral medication?
Yes, it is an oral medication. And when I spoke with my neurologist, he'd given me 3 to 4 options that he figured would be a good fit for me. Tecfidera being one of there was 2 pill options that he was comfortable putting me on: the monthly injections, the 3-month injections, or the 6-month injections.
Okay.
And I didn't know any better, right? I'm just sitting down with him and I'm like, all right, well, what can't I do? Can I jump from one to the other and back and forth? And he said, well, if you start the 6 month, you can't go to the monthly. And that was the only one that you can't do in reverse. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, it's a crapshoot, right? Nobody knows how the body's going to take to this stuff. So, you know, I'll try and, you know, eat a lot of vegetables and take the Tecfidera. And if it works for me and I don't have any recurring symptoms, then great. And if it doesn't, then, you know what I mean? At least I'm on the path where I can jump to another medication after this. Have you guys actually run into that at all? Jumping from medication to medication, one works for a while and then it stops working, or?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And Robert, if you see Tree over on your screen, she is also taking an oral medication. She's waving.
Hi,
She's
Tree, how are you?
taking Aubagio, correct?
Yep, Aubagio.
Okay. And
It's a once a day.
okay. And then a lot of us, I mean, I don't want to speak for other people, but Dan's my husband. I know his story and he knows mine. I took like 4 different medications before I found the right one. And Dan has just changed his medicine from the every other day injections to the every 6 months infusions. So
Okay.
I think, you know, it's kind of like neurologists with the
But-
medicines, you got to find the right one to
Because
fit you.
you're right, Robert. Just with the crapshoot, because I'd been on beta seron since I was diagnosed, really, and you know I needed to get off it because 21 years shooting yourself, I was running out of places to shoot myself, but I was afraid to switch to the Ocrevus because I wanted to be able, if that didn't work, could I go back on the beta seron, you know, and I'd find ways to shoot myself. And it is just being able to come back. And like you say, that you could do the Tecfidera, and if that doesn't work, being able to try another medicine right away. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But did you all, I mean, to me, it was so shocking when I like really did look back and I'm like, I got a diagnosis for 5 minutes and then I'm handed, you know, which infusion do you want to take? And I love the wheelchair kamikaze. I don't know if you've read his blogs, but they're like,
Yeah.
you know, because his thinking is like mine and he's tried all these things. And he said, you know, he got diagnosed and he was handed like 4 videos to go home and watch. Which one do you want? I mean, what diagnosis does that happen? I'm a nurse. You know, I've never seen anything like that. Well, let's see, Robert, what would you like to take?
Yeah, and literally he put the paper out in front of me and he kind of just pointed like, let me know.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. So wing and a prayer, right?
Yeah. Do you have any multiple sclerosis in your family? Like,
I do not. My sister, although, does have amyloidosis. And amyloidosis is a form of, it's not a blood cancer, but it is a blood disease.
okay.
And I believe the protein cells form incorrectly inside her bone marrow. And then that gets out into her bloodstream and it causes neuropathy throughout her body. So she's had that for 3 years now. And she's a fighter. She's doing really good considering.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, I'm so glad that you made it and we can all like just, yeah. So do you have questions? I mean, we all like, I don't want to speak for anybody, but we all know each other. We know our stories pretty well. So, I mean, do you have any questions or anything you want to talk about?
I have a ton of questions. I just don't know where to begin.
You come to the right place, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, let me grab the charger for my phone. That way I don't die out or lose you guys here. So, I mean, I guess the meds are a crapshoot, right? I really don't know what to expect, how I'm going to take to them. And so I looked up the wall diet. So I'm thinking diet and nutrition. Since I started having symptoms, I've actually lost a few pounds, eating vegetables and trying to live the healthiest me. I'm hoping that's the correct route. Exercising. I'm feeling a ton of
He's frozen.
numbness and tingling throughout the course of the day in my feet, in my hands and arms when I sleep, when I wake up. And I catch myself falling around corners where I'm leaving. And some days I don't notice it as much. Other days I notice it more. When I had my MRI recently, I said I was not currently having attack where they did the contrast. So I hope that's the case. I don't know where to begin. I don't know what questions to ask.
Robert, I can tell
If you
you,
guys have any advice for me,
Robert,
I'm all ears.
you just like totally like we're like slogging through little topics, and you just like came in here as if like you hit every topic we talked about except diet, you know, and we're just like slogging like, oh, I don't know, and then you're in here like, okay, here, all right, here's the thing, and then I'm gonna do so it's just kind of funny that, you know, you're coming in and you missed the discussion, but you kind of didn't because, right?
Yeah. Well, Robert, when do you see the neurologist next?
So my next appointment is a month and a half, and so I'll be on meds for a month and a half before seeing him again.
Well, the one thing that I would recommend that we talked about tonight is just make a list of questions for your doctor. And if some wonky symptom like pops up, try and record it so that when you see your doctor, that was something really good that Hannah talked about. Just keeping track of things so that when you do see your doctor, he or she can keep track of that and tell you, you know, maybe that is an MS thing or help put that together. But write down your questions and keep track of how life is treating you.
Robert, it sounds to me
Yeah.
sounds to me like you're a take charge kind of guy, and it sounds like you've pretty well taken charge already.
Yeah.
So that puts you in a good place. That's in a good place to be.
But, you know, you're saying, but I still have all these questions I still don't know. And, you know, that's it, even like another A++ take charge, you know, that you are willing to say, oh, I don't know, because we're all kind of like that.
Yeah.
Robert.
Oh, and that's where it gets you, right? You don't know to ask the questions. You don't know what you don't know, you know. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that you're having some numbness in your feet, and I have a lot of some numbness in my feet and my legs and then the arms and the hands too. But something that's helped me was I switched from regular shoes to bare feet shoes, just to compensate for the numbness, so I could feel more without so much shoe in the way. Because the numbness came with a relapse in 2018, and you know, I was really having a hard time walking. I was struggling to do 25-step walk test, and I'm on Ocrevus, and I've been doing different things like physical therapy and stuff. But I think that wearing those barefoot shoes has really helped me keep walking and keep my confidence and avoid misstepping with increased numbness in my feet.
Excellent. Thank you. I will definitely look into getting a pair of those.
Yeah, there's a few different companies. Mine are Merrill. I got a pair of hiking boots from Vivo Barefoot. They have a waterproof hiking boot. I don't know if you do hiking. I'm just assuming you might, since you live in Utah, and they've got some great hiking trails there.
And they're so close to the city too. They really are. Yeah, I love the hike. Everything is super close to the house. I was super fortunate the place I was able to locate when I moved here, because I just came out here in a wing and a prayer. I had no clue where I was moving to. I just hopped in my truck and trailer. I'm like, I'll stay in a hotel until I figure it out, you know. And sure enough, I'm driving right next to the mountain, and you know, there's a small house, perfect for me and the dog. It was in my budget. Everything. It was meant to be. It really was.
That's awesome. I don't want to bring religion into this, and I'm not really I don't do church and Mormonism so much anymore, but that's like the Mormon story. That was how the pioneers came. They came to the valley and they said, "This is the place," and they were going on a wing and a prayer, and then they were like, "No, this is the place," and they settled, and everything went from there.
Yeah. So you
have you guys found religion to help? Sorry.
Done what?
found religion to help?
Yeah.
I feel like my spirituality helps me. We do like Sunday now that it's the pandemic, it's great because we just do Sunday school together as a family here, and we can talk about whatever we want. I've had religion work the other way against me, like adding more anxiety in my life, just because the Mormon religion is such a kind of like you have to do this and this and this and this and this. And there was some anxiety added in my life through that. But at the same time, like my in-laws are Hindu, and so I'm kind of raising my kids to learn about both faiths. And I like to seek God in different places, and that helps me. And also maintaining a kind of connection to my ancestors helps me, but it's not so much a strict religious practice. It helps me.
Okay.
Kind of making it, taking the parts I like and leaving the parts that don't help me out helps me.
Yeah, I guess, you know, just the faith has been huge for me. I mean, yeah, faith in Springsteen. I mean, that's it.
Hey, we made it through almost an entire meeting, and Dan did not mention the boss. So that was
Almost doesn't count. It doesn't count. I didn't know there was a plank he was walking, and if he said it,
No.
Yeah. So I think, Robert, I mean, this is a really good resource, and like Dan and I personally recommend like the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, the MS Foundation, MS Association of America. There are a lot of resources out there, and then the pharmaceutical companies have a lot of resources if you have questions, places to reach out, and financial support with the medicine if you need that or something. So,
and if you need second opinion, you got 10 of us sitting here, and we can give you direction. So
yeah, and thank you for giving us your email, so you'll get like meeting reminders. Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys do the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month?
Yes.
And what did we say? The next one's May 11th?
Yeah.
May 11th.
May 11th.
7:30 Standard Time.
That would be at,
Central Time.
that would be at 6:30 your time, Robert.
Yeah, because
Okay,
you were
excellent.
an
I'd like
hour
to
late, Robert. So
keep joining if you guys are willing to have me.
Oh, heck yeah.
Absolutely.
you perked us up, even if we look stupid compared to you. How's this guy so on top of it?
Well, maybe it's because we all wore gray tonight, Karen.
Yeah, that's true. And he's wore red. He was already perked. No more. It was just a message.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
So you live like there by O'Hare, sort of there in Illinois?
No, used to could. Now it's
Yeah,
now
but
it's Salt
used
Lake
to,
City.
yeah. Yeah, no, but used to. So I'm just saying the total upgrade to go from, with all due respect to Illinois, you know, all the way out to Utah. That's awesome.
So yeah, when they expanded O'Hare Airport,
Oh, we're not hearing you, Robert.
Some of the stuff you're breaking
yeah.
up.
So
a little
I've
bit.
always been outgoing guy, you know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, very outdoorsy, and being in Illinois, I'd spend all my time in Wisconsin. I would drive 4 or 5 hours to go to the lakes and the rivers and the fishing up there, and I was kind of
Now, Robert, your phone is cut down a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Froze up.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well,
He's gone.
I
You still
just
there, Robert?
oh, sorry,
We
one second.
heard you for like 3 minutes.
I want to copy that solo alerts. Yeah.
Can I ask him a really quick question?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't always have
a-
the best cell phone reception here at the house.
I wanted to know, Kim, how you say your last name, because
Can you hear
tomorrow
me now?
I'm meeting with Astroe without an H.
Ah, darn it.
Oh, you pronounce it Stro like the beer. It was originally with no
Oh,
E, but then when my husband's
Send it to her.
grandfather came over, they
How
like
about now? Any better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my my husband's grandfather added the E during World War II, so they couldn't make him forced to go back to Germany to fight.
Oh, it's my friends don't have the H, and then I never knew how to say their name, and they're Stroe. So I got curious. I was like, another one, Stroe. Okay.
Yeah. We hear you, Robert. Continue.
Oh, Robert, there is going to be a performance tomorrow that Elizabeth will be tap dancing in. It's about solo art heal. And Dan is sending you the
Yeah,
link.
sorry guys, I'm trying.
No problem.
I hope you perk up tomorrow, Elizabeth.
Thank
But
you.
you know what? If
luckily
you don't, it's like this is MS.
Yeah, this is MS, right? In my tap dancing, I actually sit down on a chair at the end and finish it out because like that's MS, you know. Sometimes you can tap dance sitting up, standing up, and sometimes you gotta sit down.
Is that Robert on the phone?
Conference will be recorded. Conference will be recorded.
Uh-oh.
There's two of them.
Is it working?
There's two of them.